bigger fight. A place that is boundless and wide, where we walk with angels side by side. A place of smiles and happy tears, where our hearts are open and there are no more fears. A place where love is seen on every face and arms are open wide to embrace. A place where everyone measures the same, where you are true though, and yet no one knows your name. A place where mysteries are explored, where truth is accepted and never ignored. A place where those of old age are wide-eyed and still learning, when time seems to rewind, and to youth we are returning.
Good morning, everybody.
How to do?
Hello to you. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hope you're having a good Sunday morning so far. Giving baby girl her treats down here. She's
Don't let her fool you. She trying to give me a treat too. I have to watch her for I know I have a dog biscuit in my mouth, but she's doing good. She's giving it to the dog. Hey, good to see y'all out there today.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, baby girl gets her treats when we're here on live. That's to give her
Yeah, I used to get mine live too.
pacified, and she's really hungry because she didn't eat yesterday much, so she's really hungry.
There's Robert Mann, and that he's the man, and Sandra Lee Ortiz, she's the Sandra, and
There's
Leslie
Robert
Monroe, and then yes, Sylvia George,
and Leslie
Leslie,
this is brother-in-law,
motor cars, all them cars, different cars.
and whoever else is watching, whoever else.
If you can hear us out there and we don't see you, we carry you in our heart. We don't miss that. We can't miss that.
All right. Good to have you guys with us. Hey, John Greason's in the house. He just popped in. Hey,
John J. Greason.
You got something good on your plate today?
I'm eating good, girl.
I believe you have. You always have something good. Hey, Kathy. She's here today.
Kathy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shucks, girl.
Yeah, I want to thank all you guys for tuning in and being with us this morning. And let's see, where do I want to start today? It's been kind of hot and lots of rain here in the Carolinas. I don't know where you guys are, but here it's been hot and humid and rainy, and
Human and Herman.
And the weeds are popping up every which way. Anyway, let's see. What do I want to do? Let's do this. Let's do this affirmation today. Let's do this, okay? God doesn't live in us as a person, but he lives as the person that we are. Say that. God doesn't live in me as a person, but as the person that I am.
I am.
Yes.
We are.
Yes.
He is.
Yes. God lives in my heart as compassion. God lives in my heart as the willingness to help.
He is.
As the willingness to give.
We are.
You know, that's something every time I say. Okay. God lives in my heart as patience and understanding.
He is.
God lives in my heart as the peace during crisis and emergencies.
And we are.
God lives in my heart as wisdom, answers, and solutions.
Always have been.
You just gotta say something, don't you? You can't help yourself. God lives in my heart as the hunger for truth.
You're all the time.
Stop it. God lives in my heart as honesty, vulnerability, and transparency.
And that's the truth.
You're a mess. God lives in my heart as strength and endurance.
Been using it too.
God lives in my heart as the determination to overcome. God lives in my heart as love for life.
He is.
God lives in my heart as fearlessness and courage.
He does
God lives in my heart as faith and hope.
all the time.
And God lives in my heart as the willingness to surrender.
Never stop.
So now say this again. God doesn't live in me as a person, but as the person that I am. Type that in fact. Just type that in. God lives in me as the person that I am. Type it in. Because I think that's giving us a whole different concept of ourselves.
And cannot be removed.
Are you going to say something after everything I say today? Huh?
Yes.
Yeah. You are so funny.
Just trying to work you up a little bit.
Work me up a little bit?
Yes, ma'am.
Or you trying to wake yourself up a
I
little
said
bit?
work.
Work
Not wait.
me up?
No. You get started. I want you to get started.
You feel like I need to be worked?
I'm pushing you.
Thank you, Dee Dee. Jill.
Jill Hopsgrass and Miss Sibley Mo Sibley and Jill
Good
Hop
morning,
and
Phyllis
Sharon
Ledwood.
Hairston, Yvette King.
God lives in me as the person that I am. Yes.
You're
Yes.
tired of the rain, she said, Miss King.
That's Yvette.
Miss King. The earth need a bath too, I guess. And when it's time to take a shower, the universe said, I think I'll wash and clean the place where Miss Yvette King lived so I can bug her when she go online this morning about raining too much. But I'll be finished with it, he said. Just give me a little while to get things washed up pretty good.
You know, today, I don't know why I want to do this, go in this direction, but I want, good morning, Jacqueline. Good morning, Kim.
Yeah.
And Sister Sharon. Good morning, sweetheart. I want to go in this direction. I don't know why I want to go in this direction, but I'm beginning to understand. It's becoming more and more apparent to me that the word Christ means different things to different people. In the original Jewish tradition, the word Christ did not mean the same as what it meant to Christians. The word Christ, of course, I'm not a Hebrew scholar or anything like that. I don't study all of that stuff, so I'm not an expert in it. But according to the Hebrew, the word Christ meant Messiah, which meant anointed one, someone consecrated, someone appointed for a specific role, or divine appointment and authority. So the Jews had a whole different picture of what the word Christ meant to them. It was a future leader who would restore Israel. So they didn't have the same concept of the word Christ that we have. Mm-hmm. Christians, of course, have taken, and not only Christians, we're now in our current times, we think of the word Christ as something, as we think of it as consciousness, a state of consciousness. We think of it as, but those of us who are Christian link that to the person that Jesus was. So even those who are in spirituality have a different concept of the word Christ because it is not linked to that person called Jesus. Okay. So we've got at least three different concepts there of what Christ means, what the word Christ means. And I understood more clearly now why Peter, in the interaction with Jesus, when they were talking and having a conversation, Jesus began to say, "Get behind me." I understand now what happened there. Jesus was asking him, "Who do men say? Who are the people saying that I am?" And so they said, "Well, some say you're Elias, some say you're Jeremiah." And then he went on down the list of different ones, and then or the prophets, he said. But he said, "Well, who do you say I am? Who do you say I am?" And then that's when Peter said, "You are the Christ." To Peter, that meant you're the leader to come and bring the Jews and bring restoration to Israel. That's what it meant to him, because of the Jewish tradition of the Messiah was to come, and that's what they were supposed to do. So when he said, "Thou art the Christ," he was not thinking Christ consciousness as we think.
Mhm.
He was thinking of a leader coming who would restore Israel, of course. And so when Jesus then said, and it's elaborated on what he was going to have to go through to go to die, to be to be tortured and then raise again. Of course, Peter at that point was saying, "No, you're the leader. You're the one who's supposed to come and restore us. So you can't go that way." So this is why Peter said what he said. And so then Jesus had to come back and say, "Get thee behind me, Satan. You savor not the thing. You're an offense to me. You don't savor the things that be of God, but of men." So what he was saying is, Peter, you're thinking in a human, you're having human thoughts because you thinking I'm the Messiah, and so you don't want me to go to the cross, but that can't be. I've got to go. That's what he was saying.
He
Get
knew
behind me.
And that's that to the finite mind. When you with somebody you love, the dog, cat, or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
family members, they are in the same situation we are now, as Christ, the Jesus part was then.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we are the witnesses as a Christ,
Mm-hmm.
true witnesses as the Christ, that we were inside of them, standing there with them when this took place.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the unraveling of the
So,
mystery.
so now knowing that from the Jewish standpoint, the word Christ meant something totally different. It is still the anointed one, but the Jews don't see Jesus as that leader that came to restore Israel.
Mm-hmm,
And so, from a Christian's point of view, the Christians accepted Jesus as that Messiah.
mm-hmm.
But that Messiah that Jesus was or is, he did not come to restore a physical nation, but did come to restore mankind to its original, a holy nation, I should say. It had nothing to do with physical bodies or the physical nation called Israel. It had nothing to do with that. But he was saying that the kingdom of God was within you. And Jesus came saying that the kingdom of God is within you. Don't, if somebody says Christ is here or over there, don't pay any attention to them, because that would be, it doesn't come with observation. In other words, what he was saying was the leader of the Jews would not be over there somewhere or over here somewhere. Don't believe that. So he was making concessions for their tradition, which was waiting for the Messiah. He was telling them, don't look for the Messiah coming.
When I discovered, and redundancy may bear witness to what I'm doing, when I discovered that I never will ever have to wait for Jesus to come in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking from the inward definition of omnipotence, omnipresent, eternal.
Yes, yes.
There is a phrase we were talking about this morning or last night, or maybe this morning. At the time I had to have trouble with time. There's a difference between being of Christ and being Christ.
That's it. Yes.
Of God
Yes.
and being
Yes.
God.
Yes.
Now, one is, it would be like this. If you were standing in front of a mirror, imagine taking the glass out of the mirror and turn it backwards where there is no reflection. That's what happened to us when we came to earth. We were and always have been more than the reflection of God, but it looked like the mirror was broke and nothing was working right about it.
Mm-hmm.
God was still us and still there in every man as the eternalness when you say stuff like this and you're around church people or not judging them or anything like that, I don't go for that. No such word for me. When I look at these people that come to my house, like the UPS lady came in her car this morning, I would say with her husband, whoever the partner was, she brought the package in and she gave it to me. One of the first things I found out how to do to a Christ that's standing in front of me in a physical body like ours, like is you're a pretty lady and thank you for bringing this. And when she went back out to the car, it doesn't make any difference whether she looked good or not. I just made a statement because the thing, honest report, good report, good report. I wanted to say something real nice to her, but it was good that I would have stayed up from 3 to 7, 8 this morning. But when she went back to the car, I said, wait, 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 wait. She stopped and turned around. I said, I can see him in you, and you are in him talking back to me. I can see him in you. She stopped there, and her eyes looked like they're about to pop out her head. And I don't care. I don't. You know what? When this middleman is removed, the space in between is occupied by the eternals and the essence of God. She turned around and 2 times I've seen it. One lady I said it to, tears just dropped out of her eyes. And I looked around her glass and she just squirted water out of her eyes. She's crying because they were looking for something. They always wanted, people always want to know, can you see Christ in them?
Mm-hmm.
And I told her I
Yeah,
did see
yeah,
him.
yeah. Now I want to mention, Pastor, that's good. And I wanted to mention some of the comments here. We got Robert says this, and this is very true. He says, taking a metaphor literally misunderstands that Christ within rises to liberate from dark rule that results in much suffering, taking things literally. And that's what was happening to Peter. And he said, Peter looked for the literal and missed the point. And he
Uh-huh.
did. Jill says that Jesus emphasized continuously that we are one. Now, I want to mention this. And hey, Sister Chris, I'm glad you're here, darling. Um, when I'm gonna give this metaphor. When we're talking about Christ and what Christ means to each of us. You're talking about the Christ within every one of us, and I want to use the metaphor of a boy. A boy has living within him a man. Does that
Yeah,
make
it's
sense?
there.
A boy has living within him
That's the
a
truth.
man.
And you can't see it.
Right. And that boy is in the process of becoming that man.
Yes. And he's
So
still there.
and so even when that boy becomes a man, the man now has a boy within him. And so this is how Christ is within us. Inside becoming that Christ. But Christ was in there, already within, not having to come within, but already within, and we're growing into Christ. And I think the scripture's even talking about that, growing into Christ.
Christ waking up inside of us.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
We are inside of him
mm-hmm.
just as much.
Yes, yes,
And I can
yes.
say to the Christ in you and all of us that's listening, I can answer all kinds of questions. Talk to him. Somebody talk to him. But I didn't know that the actual existence of the presence of who we are as one automatically speaks.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I saw this, I didn't know that Christ is who we are inside of God, in us. We are inside of him so much to the degree you'll come to the place where a lot of things will drop off of you, or the mind will put up a fight and a battle. And this happens when you tell somebody that he's here and he's there and them talking in this conversation. They say, oh no, he's soon to come. He's going to break the eastern sky. That's okay. Don't have any problem with that. If that happens, fine. But at the present moment, he is you listening to himself, talking to himself through this conversation. Back to the reason,
Mhm.
there is no reason for this because what has happened has no definition except for the best that we can translate with these sounds of vibration frequency called words. But in actuality, watch this. And I'll go into more when I get through a little talk. But
No, you're fine.
in actuality, you are now watch this. If you take your Bible right now or your book or the Course in Miracle and read a, a phrase out of it or a section of it, slide your finger over to the left to the clear side of the paper, to the top of the clear around the border, and the border in the page on the right. The definition of what you read in any book is translated through the part of the book that's not saying anything, where there is no ink, no writing. All you have over there is the answer, but it's not the way you've been conditioned to receive it. Therefore, the Christ that we are is finding out himself as us. That's the game, the God game, hot dog,
Yeah.
the God game. Right at the moment of stillness, you at a place where you're going to hear a lot of why. Why is there this? Why am I here? Why? And you don't seem like you're getting an answer. But the reason why you don't seem like you're getting an answer is because in the mirror that you're looking at, you've now turned the mirror around, the glass around. You can now see the reflection. You're not ready for that mirror to turn around and reflect back to you who the Christ is looking at himself in the mirror. And he's responding back now through a reflection. But all these years before you got to where you are, you've always been looking through the eyes of God and his eyes looking back as himself as you. He that have seen me, you see, he that have seen me have seen the Father. So the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit is all of us
Yeah.
right now at the present moment
Yeah.
as the life of your body. Now, go ahead.
Yeah.
So you can't. I see her looking at me, looking there.
I'm just listening.
Yeah, I know.
I'm
I
listening.
can see him in her eyes, and I can feel him. And if you would try this as a lady. You have to find a way to be very presentable when you say this to men. Find somebody. You don't have to really find somebody. It'll come to you. You know what? It just came to me, and they said, "What? I can see the Christ in you." Now, he may be a street person. He may be an addict. He may be a grocery store manager. He may be just the person or the one. You may even see a prostitute out on the street. Yeah, go rough on it. And for you to turn around now, you know what's keeping people from telling the truth about the eternal Christ that the church fight against what we're saying is these people are still asleep. The Christ in them is waking up and has always been there. When I say that, you say that, you are going to bless God in them. Now, this is different than what we have in church, where you lay hands on people and impart. That impartation stuff is just about come to an end because what I'm talking about has no beginning and end. That's always there, and
Can
we
I
call it dariness.
can I ask a question, Pastor? And I'm not asking you to answer it
Mhm.
necessarily, but it is a question that's popping up inside of me. When we say Christ, when we say the word Christ, when we say I see Christ in you, if we mention that to another person, or I say I see Christ in you, what is it I'm seeing? What in fact is it that I am seeing? Come on, tell me if you can.
I will.
And maybe you guys can say what it is that it is I'm seeing. What when I look in the mirror and I see Christ in me as me, what is it I am seeing? And I can't just put a word on it just to get the mind to shut up because it doesn't know the answer to the question. But there is a need for a true seeing and understanding what that is that I am seeing.
It is an aha moment.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. That one who talks to the other, Christ, I see in them, has had the experience of the enlightenment so grooved and so expressive. I understand now why what happened to me 50 some years ago as finite self not knowing what to say and asking the question, what am I seeing? When you looking in the mirror and the mirror's been turned around, what do you see then? Nothing. When you turn the mirror around and you stand there looking at it, ask the question, what am I seeing? You're seeing a reflection. Every once in a while, you go to church and you have one of these goosebumps and feeling and one of these aha moments. But eventually, watch this. Eventually, those moments of feeling like you see God becomes an intuition. And that intuition is what operates so definite. It is that intuition, and I use that word, and it's not really describing, but it's close to what I want to say. And if you got another way to say it out there, put it on site. But the reflection you see, one day Christ that you are will look at himself and say, huh? And he's doing that for a part of a play and a game that's been played here in the flesh.
Yeah.
But what do I see? I see the invisible by knowing and already convinced
So
without study or belief.
so
I see him.
so your answer is when you what it is you see when you see Christ in others, you see everything that is and then nothing that ever was.
Yes, if you want to say it like that, yeah, that's a good
I
one.
mean,
That's a good one.
because that's what your words just said. You see everything that ever was, everything that is, and nothing that ever was.
That's right.
There is,
That's supernatural.
yeah, yeah.
That's supernatural.
I've got to mention Robert's comments here. Robert, of course, mentioning the scripture that we've heard so often. When you've seen me, you've seen the Father. I only speak that which I hear from the Father. I only do that which I see the Father do. And then he says, we brush the mirror or others when we need to brush our hair or our true self. So I'm seeing myself as well when I'm looking at others and I say I see Christ, I'm seeing myself because that is the mirror. That is the mirror. In fact, when someone is presented to you and it is something and something unfavorable happens, that is still the mirror reflecting back to you yourself. It is still your shadow self is being reflected back.
Let me share something real wonderful to all of you guys, the cornerstones and those who may know.
And you're going off the subject here.
No, I'm not going
you're
off the subject. I'm
going
to use this.
You're going to mention.
Yeah, I'm going to use this.
Yeah.
We've had one of our chief musicians, Vincent Crenshaw.
Yeah, some of you remember Vincent.
I've been waiting 13 years for a kidney transplant.
He's been on dialysis.
On dialysis for 13 years. They called him in
and had a wonderful spirit about it.
Yeah.
And has had many opportunities to get a transplant, and then it would fall through.
Yeah.
And finally, he's gotten a transplant.
And he called me last night. I didn't know he was in the hospital calling me. He said, they finally found me a kidney that would work.
And you know what that says to me, Pastor, is this, that there is a very specific reason for him to still be here.
It is.
Mhm.
And that's that we see and say that was conversation on the phone. His voice, we couldn't see it, but the vibrational frequencies
Mhm.
revealed itself.
Mhm.
Now we go to what are we seeing
When we see
when we see
Christ.
Christ is a vibrational energy. It is absolutely amazing. You are seeing what is not supposed to be seen,
Yes.
but is now made itself manifest through a portal or channel inside of us.
So what we see when we see
You
Christ
see him.
in ourselves or in others,
You really do.
it may be hard to put words to what that is.
I'll find
It
something
is,
later.
yeah. I mean, we can give it words, but
Yeah,
it's hard to put words to that is
that's the truth.
indescribable. It's hard to put words to that is non-physical. That is all that is.
One word you can say is the mystery.
It is a mystery.
And I always say what the mystery definition of mystery is.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
at the same time, this is
So
Christ.
so Robert mentions this. This is good. I like what Robert says. So we're this is a good conversation. We're delving into what Christ actually is in and as us, and it makes you dig deeper into what you truly are and what everybody else is. So Robert says this: eternal life presently extending from unconditional love. That's to him, that's Christ. Eternal life, it presently extending from unconditional love, awareness, and wisdom, seemingly lost in the material world. I like that, Robert. I like it. I like that.
Robert, you're coming close to something I wrote here, and this is it. Truth. We are God,
Yes.
with or
Yes.
without the ego.
Yes.
This secret teaching has been banned by the church
By religion.
or religion.
Yeah, by religion.
You are actually beyond being a member of an organization.
True, true. I like what Jill says. She says to her, this is what Christ says to her. She said, I experienced the switch when Jill steps aside and Christ is looking out of my eyes.
Now, watch this, Miss Jill.
So it's the absence of Jill. For you, it's the absence of Jill. It's the absence of that persona called Jill. It's the absence of that concept of being Jill. That's what Christ is.
Now, listen to this. Even if Jill didn't step aside,
It's still Christ.
I,
It's still Christ. Yes.
Jill,
But the experience. So she's saying the experience. She said, I experienced the switch.
yeah,
So
yeah.
there are times when you don't experience the switch and it's still Christ.
Now
I remember. Now this
now that'll bake your cake.
Yeah. Now this is the thing. I remember years ago when I had my first, I call it my first encounter with knowingness of Christ, and the set was, I should say, second, because this was also, I was standing in the mirror again, and this came to me after the initial encounter I had where I saw the transfiguration and saw Christ while I was looking in the mirror. All right, so here I am in the mirror again, and I feel that same switch where Antoinette stepped aside and Christ came forward, and I heard the words, I'm going to work in you so that I can stay out.
Mhm.
And now that sounds very simplistic, but it was like there was a receding of Antoinette and a Christ consciousness coming forward. And it said to me, I know you're afraid. I'm going to work in you so that I can stay out. So this is the thing. This is happening to every last one of us. And now I realize that work has been done. And now I don't even experience the switch anymore. I don't experience the switch anymore. And I don't need it anymore.
The case has been settled.
Mm-hmm. And I don't need it anymore.
The noise.
Because it
There's
did
no more.
it did work in me so that it could stay out.
The mind is like this. We're sitting here in the house and somebody come past the house with their stereo in their car, just a booming, and it shakes the ceiling and the glass and the walls. That's noise.
Mhm.
But you get familiar with the noise because you know what the noise is. But when you read in your Bible or anywhere or recognize the fact that on the other side of that noise that you hear, or before the noise ever existed, that is being heard by our ears, the stillness of God
Mhm.
is speaking to you to the
Mhm.
degree that you now can differentiate the difference between the noise and you in the house.
Mhm.
So the house is really the body.
Yes.
But I
Yes.
found out that the whole man, the whole Robert man, and the whole soul, you little bitty Kesslers out there and the Norman J. Armstrongs and all the every man is inside of him. Now watch this. Here's a turnaround. When I found out that I was inside of him,
Yeah. As well as he inside of me. Mhm.
wow,
And when I say he inside of me, that's still a conceptual thing.
conceptual
It's a
thing.
concept because it is no he. It just is.
What we are drinking is what we are.
Uh-huh.
And what we're talking about and who we're talking about, we are the who. So
Mhm.
actually we are the definition of God
Mhm.
this time
Yeah. Yeah.
in this suit.
So while what we see in the mirror
Glory
is
be to God.
undefinable, we become the definition of God as God lives through and by these units, these physical units.
Now hear this. Here's another one.
So that tells me that God doesn't want to remain elusive. God does
Elusive, unaware of.
right. God doesn't want to remain unmanifest. God wants to
That's
manifest,
right.
but he wants to manifest as us.
Now when we walk, he walks.
Mhm.
He's been doing it all along.
Mhm.
I noticed when I was in heaven in the walking on the clouds, I went up this swirling stairs. I went up and I come out on the other side. Consciousness, I was aware of myself going up the post, walking, and I was aware of myself when I got there. Many times when I go up on the cloud like that, I'll land like I'm flying and I'll jump. When I jump, I hit a cloud in the sky. And when I stand on that cloud in the sky, my feet with no shoes on hit the cloud and it's just a solid spirit materialized substance that is perceivable to the soul's senses. And when I hit that cloud highway in the sky, it goes like that. You don't know whether you can hear this or not. It goes with a third.
Mhm.
It hits with a third.
Mhm.
And I looked at myself and the definition of the third or the bump of the sound when I hit that solid cloud is telling me that I am spirit materialized
Mhm.
as the substance of a thing that was hoped for, but now evidence made known that I am the real spirit self. That's the definition of the Christ in this body.
Mhm. Mhm.
Now, if you want to break it down in body, soul, spirit, soul, and body, that's all right. Don't have any problem. Do you know the most amazing thing about this waking up is that you will eventually find out what we have and many others are listening, the signs that it is time for your awareness to move on
Yeah.
into a much refinement and sharp trimming
Well,
of
yeah,
seeing who you really
and
are.
I'm glad you said that because many of us, some I won't say all of us, but
Mhm.
there are many of us who come into this awareness, and after that happened, there's like a limpness that took place, limpness in
Mhm.
motivation, not wanting to do the things that you were doing before, but still longing to do the things that you
Who
did
is
before.
that?
And all of a sudden, there's a switching around of what causes you to be motivated. And
What
so
is
so
that?
it's like and we talked about this before, even in the ministry and ministering healing and deliverance and things like this to people, we were more aggressive, more
get up and
go
go.
get it,
Go get it. Yeah.
and
But
make it happen.
tear your
kind of
transmission,
thing.
tear
And
your motor, your transmission out,
we were in that
going
mode of
backwards, trying to
yeah,
go
yeah.
forward and
we were
forward,
in that
trying to
mode.
go
Make it
back.
happen.
Yeah.
You can do it, and you got the
confess them.
power, and all of this stuff.
Positive thinking.
And then when the ego died,
or in the process,
yeah,
seemingly,
or when at least it went unconscious,
yeah,
there was a limpness that took place and a lack of
somebody help
motivation
me, please.
to be able to do those things anymore. And it's not because we can't do them, but the fuel that fired it
Glory.
died out. And so
This
now
thing
there
something.
is that switch that Jill talked about. There's a switch that's taking place that that was the fuel for it is now been exchanged for that soulish Christ that's coming forth.
Yeah.
And it's the creativeness now. So now it's not to become successful. It's not
Glory.
because I have an urge to do it because I gotta prove something, or I've got to get validation because I want people to know about it.
Yeah.
It's not all of that. It's
no more working and sweating.
It's just my heart.
Now you're talking. That's what you see when you
Yeah.
see. How do you see the Christ? You can pick up on it. Your discernment becomes very, very sharp.
So my reasons for doing things is completely changed.
You know now that there's no such word as why, what, and reasoning as to seeing the Christ in people. Now let me tell you something what's so amazing about it is that this Christ, when it is open up to you or whatever, you'll understand why certain things take place that seem like a negative. You know, somebody say, we have to watch the possum and the squirrel up in the tree. And then pretty soon you'll be able to tell the difference between the coon, the possum, and the squirrel. But until then, all you want to do is look at that rascal. And if you're outdoorsman and sportsman, you want to shoot him. But you shoot all you want to, but you ain't never get rid of. You can't get rid of all the squirrels in the universe. There's a certain island that I found out about where it's infested.
What are you talking about?
Well, I tell you, if you just hold on, I'm telling you, as metaphorically speaking, this island is loaded with rats, and they're taking over this island. But let me tell you something: the thinking mind is like those rats and squirrels in a tree. They are just fighting hard to survive. And what your eternal self is actually working by presence. When you don't hear or know what God is doing, like, I'm waiting for the Lord to lead me, I'm waiting for the Lord to show me. This experience of waking up is the Christ letting you know. And you come to the know him. You don't have to have anybody tell you anything about where you are, what you are, and see yourself doing. That is the package deal is it's taking place without your reconnaissance. It's taking place without your permission.
Yeah.
You don't have to have anybody. Watch this. A lot of people are reading the Bible like a believing stop somewhere, and they're being found guilty of a crime. They say you may you have the right to remain silent, and if you anything you say or do at this point without your attorney can be held against you. So you finally come to the place where all the noise that you're making, trying to tell everybody if you don't get saved, you're going to hell. If you don't get saved, you know Jesus soon to come. Let me tell you this: the minute the light is seen and aware of enlightenment, all of that noise stops.
Well, yeah, and that noise and all other noise. And that's the thing that I was saying is that a lot of times your motivation it just completely stops. And
It's
then
different.
you begin to feel like, okay, well, I don't really want to do anything.
Glory.
I don't have a desire to do anything. And then you feel like I'm being lazy.
That's it.
I'm
That's
being
it. That's what I want to say.
unproductive.
Yeah.
And then there's a part that wants to go back to where I was, because
That's
before this experience, because then at least I was motivated.
Yeah.
Now I'm not motivated anymore.
Yeah.
But there's this process of becoming that is taking place.
Yeah, becoming, even that process stops, but it still is going on.
Yes, that even though you are already, like the boy already has a man inside of him.
Honest, that's
the
honest.
Man already lives inside of him.
Yeah.
The boy is becoming that man, and so that even though the Christ is here,
the I himself is there.
There's the process of becoming that individual that is the manifestation of Christ. And so now here we are. We're caught between wanting to do it and the lack of motivation to do it. And then we're realizing that there's this great, like Jill said, I'll call it that, the switch. Or the exchange. It's not that I've been changed, I've been exchanged.
The great content.
Wait.
Yeah.
Type that in. It's not that I've been changed, it's that I've been exchanged.
The continental divide of states and cities is now removed, or in the process of being seen that it never existed. That is the nugget.
The exchange is where we kind of feel like we're out of sorts and wondering, so how do I move forward? And you said this, we're supposed to move forward. So we're not supposed to stop at trying to have this wonderful, blissful state every day, all day. We're supposed to move forward in allowing Christ to become human.
Now, when I stood on this highway in the sky, moving on, you hit the word moving on. I stood there and looked at the highway, and it stretched out in front of me in miles of eternity.
Yes.
Now watch this. When I looked down at the highway that I was standing on, the question arose, I guess you might say it, come up through my whole vibrational spirit body with the question. My mouth didn't even move. I was operating in the same voice that was in the cool of the Garden of Eden, if the story is correct. Don't matter no more. Looked, and there's the voice walking in the cool of the garden evening. The same voice was me standing there looking at the road, and I said, wonder how far it is from where I'm standing to the end of this road. I didn't hear a voice so much. All of a sudden, my knees, my feet, my trunk, stomach area, my chest, shoulders actually said 1,000 miles. When the 1,000-mile event arose, my feet had already took 3 steps and never left from the position I was standing in. And I was at the end of it, and I saw my feet raise up and want to step across the end of it in the blue waters of the eternals. And I looked and saw the golden city that was in me. And the big higher self that we all are as the Father said, no. He switched back over to the finite stuff and said, it's not time yet. Didn't have to say it, but for the sake of the mind or the soul area. Then all of a sudden, when he said that, I had already taken steps by noticing and recognition. Recognition of the Christ in you is God taking a step. This stuff is so juicy. Ooh, Ooh, it's juicy, 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 juicy.
Look, John says, slow down, my ego is going into overload. And I want to say something about that too, John, because when you're going through this lack of motivation, the ego starts looking for fuel. It starts looking for, what can I do to make myself motivated? What can I do? And so it because it's very uncomfortable with not being in charge, and so that's a good place, but we don't see it as a good. It doesn't feel so good, but it is a good place. Sister Sharon says, it's not that I've been changed, I've been exchanged. Thank you, darling. And Jacqueline says, we are the garden, and the cool of the day is the calming of the human mind.
Whoa.
Go on and preach.
Girl, I'm going to knock you out before sundown. Get out of town before sundown. Somebody kill a rock record train and there a piece of iron to catch rheumatism. This stuff is rough.
Now I understand why Paul said this when he was talking to people in the church, and he said, my little children, I travail till Christ be formed in you. And so here we are, the boy has the man inside of him, and the boy is becoming that man. The Christ here is inside of us, and we are becoming that Christ. Not so much that it's something that isn't already. The boy is a man, but it's not a fully developed potential.
That's right.
Man. And it's becoming that full potential. This is what's happening to us. Christ is becoming human here and by us.
Go out in the woods. Be safe now. Find your acorn. Pick it up and
I
look
don't
at
have to
it.
go in the woods. My
You got
yard
right in
has
the yard. Pick him up. Just do these things deliberately, because this that I'm telling you, I practiced sometime back often. This acorn, pick it up and look at the tree where it came from. Inside of that, this pen is an acorn. Inside of that acorn is a photographic supernatural copy of the tree that it fell off of.
Yes, and Robert's calling that caterpillar soup. When the caterpillar is no longer walking the earth,
glory.
It's not yet flying.
Somebody need to say something.
It's not crawling and it's not flying.
That's right.
It's nothing but goop.
Right.
It's nothing but goop. That's the place where there's no motivation. The only thing you can do is dissolve. That's the only thing you can do is dissolve. And that dissolving of the concept of yourself is you becoming the butterfly.
My wife said something last night. It's funny. She said something last night and we was in the kitchen talking about the way we looked when we was young.
Because you were messing with me. I don't remember what you were saying, but you were messing with me, so I had to come up with something.
So she came up and she told me, "What'd you tell me?"
I said, "You were cute then, you ugly now." I had to say something because you were messing with me.
She called me ugly.
So he dealt with that for about 15, 30 minutes.
I thought I said, I ain't talking to you no more. I ain't talking to you no more. Somehow or another, that thing slipped up on me. It kind of moved something inside my head.
It moved the image out the way.
It
wiped the image out.
I always want to cuss out. I want to. What are you talking about, woman?
We always ask each other, would you have married me if you know I was going to turn out like this?
That's what it was. And I ain't going to answer that because the mind going to come up with something. And you're going to fool we'll be standing in the house, not even seeing them each other. And that's monkey. That's real monkey. That's real monkey.
That was good.
Now you finally understand that the meat that you ate on the table has now integrated itself when you ate it and put it inside.
Carl Jung, which was a psychiatrist, I think he was a psychiatrist. We all heard about Carl Jung and Sigmund Freud and all of this. Carl Jung calls this individuation. This is the persona becoming the self. The persona, the person actually changing into that true self.
Okay.
Yeah, changing into that true self. And so in order for that to happen, the caterpillar soup has to happen.
So here's what I do. I take that acorn, stand in front of the tree, and tell the tree that I'm holding it in my hand. This acorn,
a
full-blown photographic supernatural tree is inside that acorn.
In the form of mush.
It is the tree like we are. There's a difference between being a Christ or the Christ.
The invisible program that will cause that materialization is already manifested in that acorn. The program, the program that will cause the human to appear as the Christ is already here inside of us, and that's what's happening. It's here, and I keep saying, based on what Robert said, the caterpillar soup it's in there because that process has to take place. It has to take place.
In the mind of the monkey in the tree, there was a time when I had somebody or around anybody that had, this before I met you, that anybody had vitiligo, the same condition, skin condition that Michael Jackson had, I would consider them to have leprosy.
That was what you thought?
Yeah, that's what I thought leprosy was.
Really?
Yeah. But when I look at you now that I've been with you all day, I slept with you last night. Forgive me, Lord. Don't hold it on me, Lord.
That slept with us too.
Yeah, come here, baby. Come over closer.
This baby girl.
You can't see her. There she is.
She's behind the mic.
Yeah. She is looking at. That's the baby.
That's baby girl.
She's the baby. Come on, let's talk. She's the baby.
Now you've forgotten all about what you're gonna say.
No,
baby girl gets its mind. She
but you know what? When I look at her now, I can tell people what it is. She's sitting now, excuse the expression, don't like to use it. She's sitting beside a light-skinned, dark-skinned, white person, which can be and is. I can see her complexion reflecting back to me in her body, that there are a lot of people in her family that do look like she look now, and you wouldn't call it vitiligo.
No,
but I got pictures of her and me and her both, when we were, watch this, when we were pretty. When we were pretty. And so now she said, I'm ugly, but that's all right. I love her just like she is. And you know, I found out who it is that loves through us, if we allow it, is the Christ self. He's the eternal love, no judgments. And the vitiligo is just what it is without changing my love with her, for her, as her. That's the end of the story.
Okay. Robert, I love what you're saying. He said the realization is the butterfly effect.
It is. It really is.
So the caterpillar will never fly. It will never fly. It has to go through that process of becoming goop and everything in it dissolving in order for it to become that butterfly, to be that butterfly. Not so much to become it, but to be it. And so we are now in the process of being Christ. And the humanity that we are is actually being Christ. Now you so you're so enamored by baby girl.
Yeah, she gets my attention.
She gets it.
But I'm glad you guys tuned in, and Miss I went blank right
there. What are you
then.
looking for, honey?
Well, anyway, if you move that, scroll it up.
What are you looking for, baby?
The names.
Yes.
Go up. I can hold on. I'll go. Oh,
What do you want to say?
thank you for the gifts that you've been sending to us.
That's every one of them.
And
Yes.
every one of you, as she
Hmm.
scrolled the names through, Robert and Greason, Harrison, Diaquilin, Greason again, Sylvia, all you guys, I want to thank you for all the gifts that you've been sending monetarily as well as your presence online. You've done an excellent, perfect job. You are the perfect operation. Mr. Kessler, I thank you for investigating into the part that we talked about, the insulation of a house. I really do appreciate all of you for the physical support. Miss Leslie, that's the name I'm trying to think of. Miss Leslie, every month, thank you for sending something to us. And
And
your sister and
there are
all of them.
others. There are others.
There are others we can't call names to all of them.
Right, but there's one young man, and I mentioned him on Tuesday, Raymond. I've never met him.
Yeah, yeah, he
He
does.
does he doesn't apparently have a lot of money, but what he sends is he will send something
Yeah,
every week.
Miss
Now
Leslie,
sometimes more than
this guy done picked up on your presence.
sometimes more than once a week.
That's
Sometimes
right.
he just sends whatever he can, and
That's right.
I so appreciate that.
We do.
Not so much the amount. I appreciate the consistency. I
Hmm.
appreciate the thought of continuous support, and that speaks volumes to me. That when you do that, you believe in what we're saying and what we're doing, and I appreciate it so much. So no matter how much you give, what amount you give, the fact that you give is a statement being made, and I appreciate it so much.
There were some ladies, Miss Pearl, if you're still there. Miss Pearl, there were some ladies in the drugstore this week saw me wearing your shirt, the shirt of I am that I am,
Mhm.
and they got excited. I was standing there in line coming out the door where you pay your cash for the item, and they just lit up like light bulbs and said, "I want one of
Mhm.
them. I want
Mhm.
one of them."
Mhm.
And I told them that come online. I don't remember who they were now, but I told them, I said, make yourself known to us
Yeah.
online,
Yeah.
and I will talk to Miss Pearl about a way we can get one of those shirts to you.
But you
And
didn't get their name or
I didn't get their
anything.
names or anything
So
like
you
that.
can't do anything with it.
But I told them to be online and watch, and I will. The name, your name, Miss Pearl, came up, and I think we can, if they make themselves known, I get them to send me the information about where they are.
Yeah.
But they have not done that to this point. But I can tell you what, your work in those shirts is really
It's
a
preaching.
really
It's preaching.
is really a good deal.
Yeah.
You can't beat your deal for with an egg beater or a stick. I mean, it's just wonderful that how the response come and they say, "I want one. I am. Yes, we are. I want." They say, "I know we are. The I am." So, I just wanted to throw that note out to everybody. Thank you again at this moment for helping us financially.
Pastor Norman, if you're still with us, can you give me a thumbs up if you're going to be with us on Tuesday? Tuesday nights, we usually have a wonderful conversation with Pastor Norman. He's living in South Carolina. He's a pastor down there and has a wonderful ministry going on down there. We really, he's our spiritual son. Been with us since we were on McConnell Road. He was in going to A&T and a college student when we first met him, and now he's a grandpa. He's
Mm-hmm.
got grandkids and
Mm-hmm.
in the ministry for years, and so we just so appreciate him. If he's still there, give me a thumbs up, Pastor Norman. There he is. There he is. Thank you, Pastor Norman. He'll be with us on Tuesday night, and we always have a wonderful conversation about different things. And
Yeah, we'll talk about this some more, won't we?
usually on Tuesday night when we get with Pastor Norman, it's the three of us as pastors who were formerly asleep and now awakened, and our conversation has to is how we have evolved into what we are now. Pretty much, that's what our conversations are usually about. And Pastor Norman kind of keeps us on track about how we came to where we are in this seeing and this understanding as pastors. And so we're not trying to get away from the Christian religion. We're trying to remain as that, waking people up within it, because we know now there is no place where you can have your allegiance. There is no religious sect that you can have your allegiance. There is nothing that will prevent you from waking up. No, it doesn't matter what your beliefs and your allegiance is to. You will wake up in it. You can wake up in it. And thank you, Jacqueline. She said Tuesdays are amazing. Thank you, baby. Thank you. We will be back Tuesday at 7. We love you guys. Don't forget to hit the like button. John calls it the love button. Don't forget to hit that. And we will be back live and in color.
Yes. Fully loaded.
Be blessed. Have a wonderful Sunday. We'll see you next time. Robert says, dissolving is evolving. The butterfly.
Thank you.
I'm going to use that as a title. Thank you, Robert. See you later. Bye-bye.